Hey guys, West Coast Taco here, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Well guys, it marks about 6 months since I've had my TRD off-road 4x4 double cab long bed Tacoma, and if you guys have been following me from the beginning of this channel, it's been a blast. I've had a lot of fun just letting myself grow and modifying the truck and just kind of turning it into the image and product that I kind of foresaw when I first bought it, and it's been just a blast. And thank you guys for your support. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the comments and the interactions throughout the channel. It's been great, and I'm continuing to look forward in regards to seeing where things go. So what I wanted to do is, on the 6-month anniversary of me owning this truck, I wanted to give my thoughts and an honest review from an owner. When you buy a brand new vehicle, it's super easy to do a quick review and talk about how amazing the truck is, or how amazing your vehicle is, or whatever it is you're buying or looking at, or whatever it is you got. But really, I feel like in order to give a fair and honest review of something, you have to give it a chance to show its flaws. You have to get used to the truck. You have to get used to the way it drives, or maybe doesn't drive. You have to get past that honeymoon phase of just everything being, awesome. And so today, that's why I'm here, and I want to jump into this, and I want to, give this truck a fair and honest review for those of you guys that are on the fence about buying it, or, looking at Tacomas in general. Especially right now, there's a lot of traction and activity going on with this 4th gen coming out here soon. And a lot of people are on the fence on if they want to buy a 3rd gen before they are gone, and the only ones you can buy are pre-owned, or hold off and wait for that 4th generation Tacoma that people are very excited about. So with that being said, guys, I hope this really helps you guys that are in the market, thinking about getting in the market, or maybe you're just on the fence in general and you'd like to get a better review in regards to what this looks like after 6 months, and some of the things I've had to deal with and fix and improve, and some things I've just been able to leave alone. So let's dive into this and see where things go. All right, guys, so me being the guy I am, I'm going to focus on the negatives first and end on a high note with some positives. The first thing I'm going to make note of in regards to some of the things I would consider are not great, or that might be considered bad about this truck, is the cost. In order to buy a Tacoma or Colorado, almost any mid-size truck, I think you're probably going to be in that mid-30s to mid to high 40s, depending on which trim package you go with. Pretty expensive for a mid-size truck, in my opinion, but at the end of the day, you're going to pay for what you get. And I'm not necessarily knocking the price, but these are not as cheap, I think, as some people think they are. If you're, if you are completely clueless in regards to price, and you think that a new mid-size truck is going to cost you around $25,000, at least for like a nicer trim package, you're kind of way off. If you get a very base model with just bare bones, you could probably get pretty close to that, lower 30, high 20s. But just an FYI for you guys, that if you're looking at getting something like the off-road or the Pro or a Sport, they're pretty pricey, guys. They're definitely not as budget friendly as you may think they might be, compared to like a full-size truck where you think that there's gonna make a big price difference. So that's the first thing I would say to keep in mind. Pricing is not as cheap as you may think. Now, to the actual truck itself that are specific to the Tacoma, the first thing I'm going to mention of, because it's given me the most heartache, I've had the most issues with it, and it's actually a pretty big ticket item in my opinion when it comes to a vehicle, and that's the transmission. For you guys that have been following my channel, and you guys have been watching my videos, you've seen several of them, I'm sure, where I've talked about the transmission, the torque converter shutter, the delayed engagement, all these issues. Thankfully, I got it resolved, and to be quite honest, guys, the overland torque tune was essentially the kind of fix that I should have just done from the get-go. And if I could go back and do it all over again, I just would have done the overland torque tune the day I bought the truck. It made a world of difference. And thankfully, guys, yes, this transmission has some weird, funky attributes in regards to the way it shifts, the way it communicates with the engine, the throttle lag, just everything about it is just kind of odd. I didn't really notice it that much when I first bought it, but after comparing it to some of my other vehicles and just, vehicles I've been in and out of over the years, it's definitely probably the most unique transmission I've ever experienced when driving a vehicle. And, you know, thankfully the Overland Torque Tune does fix every issue that I was having with it and the complaints I had with it, so it can be fixed without somebody going in and rebuilding or doing something crazy with the transmission. But I would say the first thing that I dislike about this truck would be the transmission when it comes straight from the factory. I feel like Toyota could have done a lot better of a job refining it and taking care of some of the issues that a lot of Tacoma owners seem to complain about and have issues with. The second thing I'd make mention of, and this doesn't really affect me, but it seems to be something across the board that a lot of people, especially taller people, talk about, and that is the seating position. Now, this is a 2020, and in 2020 they changed a lot of things about the truck, and they put in the power seating, which, you know, is supposedly supposed to give you more height if needed. And with this seat cushion I run in here, I haven't had any problems, but it definitely feels more like a actual car than it does a truck in regards to seating position. Usually when you're seated in a truck, you're higher up and your legs are further down, and your legs are more like at a 90-degree angle, whereas here you can see it's more like at a 45-degree angle, the way your legs are breaking down to the pedals. So seating position, guys, doesn't bother me that much, but I've spoken with a lot of people, heard from a lot of people, and that's a big problem for them. All right. So third, the fuel economy. You know, I didn't buy this truck because I thought I was going to get the greatest, you know, gas mileage around town or commuting. I honestly average about 17 to 20 miles per gallon, which is, I think, pretty good for this, considering that, you know, I have a 2-to-1 lift on it, and I've got the BF Goodrich all-terrain E-rated tires. So, you know, with weight and the lift and just everything in general, it's not too shabby. I've only gone through a couple tanks of gas with this tune, and we'll see if my gas mileage improves at all, but I'm not really holding my breath. But essentially, guys, if you're looking to get a vehicle that gets really good gas mileage and you're looking to get into the mid-20s to, you know, even 30s, you'll be disappointed with this. But once again, you know, if you're looking to buy a fuel efficient vehicle in regards to, you know, 30 to 40 miles per gallon, you know, you probably shouldn't be looking at a truck anyways. That's just my 2 cents. But, you know, maybe you have your own opinion and your comment may vary compared to mine. So it is what it is. All right, next thing, guys, the panels, these plastic panels on the inside of the Tacoma. Now, I'm not sure what the issue is, but I'm going to be honest. These door panels, they scratch and they mar so easily. If you guys have watched my channel, once again, I use VRP by Chemical Guys on my panels, and it keeps them looking really great. But if these dry out, you will see faint gray scratches, especially near the door handle areas. It just kind of is troublesome to me in some ways, because I feel like these things scratch so easily, and I have much older cars with 0 scratches on them. I do the very best I can to take very good care of my vehicles, but for whatever reason, the plastics in this truck seem to scratch, mar, and show every defect very easily. And you know, for a truck, I was hoping that it would hold up a little bit better. I take very good care of my belongings and my vehicles, and so for someone like me, it's not a huge deal. But if you're looking to use this for work and the family, you know, work and play, you know, you're going to notice pretty quick that the interior of this truck does not hold up as well as you may anticipate it holding up. And I think, honestly, at the end of the day, guys, to cut costs, they just use cheaper materials. I don't think the plastic is black through and through. I think they kind of like coat it with the black, which is why when it scuffs, there's a gray immediately. So there's just a lot of things about it I think they cut corners on to make the cost more effective. But it shows very quickly when you start to use the truck. So that is something to keep in mind if you are more hard on your vehicles in regards to its daily use and what you plan to do with it. Another thing about this, guys, is I do have the JBL audio system. No complaints about it. It does have the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The only frustrating thing about it for me is that in order to use that, you have to plug it in to the USB port. I wish it was wireless. I'm surprised that they never actually did that. I don't think they did that even on the 2023. Everything still has to be plugged in through a, with an actual wire. Obviously, you can still link it Bluetooth, but to use the Apple CarPlay app, you have to be plugged in. So, wish that was wireless. That would be nice, but it is what it is. Another thing I'll make mention of too, that I'm not a huge fan of, is where the cell phone charger and holder is. It's kind of tucked down in there. It's kind of a pain having to get your phone in and out with the shift knob being there. Not a big fan of it. I wish they would have put it maybe like right there in this cup holder spot. I feel like that could have been a really good spot to put a phone holder and a charger. I'm thinking the 4th gen, they're going to kind of reinvent the wheel a little bit in regards to the way this is laid out, and put the charger someplace similar to how they are doing it on the new Tundras. But I think this would have been a great spot right here where these cup holders are for a nice charger. It would have just been more convenient for me, because naturally when I'm using my phone or doing something, it's a natural movement for me just to put it right there, then have to, take my arm, move it around, put it on its face or on its back, and slide it in there. So there's that in regards to the configuration for the phone and the Apple CarPlay and the charging station. Another thing I'll make mention of, guys, is this windshield here is pretty small. That's one of the first things I actually noticed about this truck when I first got in it, even for the test drive. I was like, wow, this windshield is not very large. And the view and what you can see and can't see isn't like terrible. But I would make note that, if you're fairly tall and you're used to driving a vehicle with a much larger windshield, this one is pretty small and compared to most of the vehicles that I've driven. So that's something to make note of. So to be quite honest, guys, in regards to negatives and bad things about this truck, that's really it. And there's not a lot. It's a really solid truck for the most part, and I'm going to hop into the things I really enjoy and like about it. But there are a few things I wanted to make mention of and make note of, because I think it would only be wrong to not tell you about these things. And one thing I'll make note of too, if you guys like off-roading, this hood is massive. This is a massive hood on this truck. And when you're going up a hill, unless you have the front camera and you have the advanced technology package, it is difficult to see. I'm not a Ford Ranger fan by any means, but they do have a much smaller hood, and if you notice their hood, it tilts down pretty significantly. And I think when they designed and engineered that, it was for the purpose of giving the operator of the vehicle better visual capabilities from the driver's seat when off-roading or going up a hill. So that's probably the last thing I'll mention. If you guys are really into off-roading, I wouldn't say that this should be a huge reason why not to buy it, but I'm just making note of it, because I think it's only fair to disclose to you guys anything that I might find a little strange or odd. But I mean, I love the way the vehicle looks. I love the design, so I'm not knocking the hood. It's just something to consider in regards to the way it's positioned and angled. So, speaking of design and styling, guys, out of all of the mid-size trucks available out there, the Tacoma, in my opinion, takes the cake. Hands down, no questions asked. Don't get me wrong, the Colorado, they did a pretty good job with it, but man, when you see a Tacoma on the road, they look so good. Honestly, guys, that's one thing I've noticed about Toyota, is I feel like they've just been like ahead of the game in regards to the way they design their vehicles. I mean, I look at 1st gen Tacomas and they still look good, or the 3rd gen 4Runner, or even the 2nd gen 4Runner. They're timeless. That's one thing Toyota has going for them. Like, you never look at one of their older cars, really, at least I don't, and think, wow, what were they thinking when they designed and built this, Tacoma? They just look great, in my opinion, and they've always looked great, and I think they're going to always continue to look great. So, style, design, I think Toyota just nailed it, and I think that's one of the reasons why so many people are drawn to them. Yes, there's that reliability and dependability factor, that name that Toyota has made for itself, but just, man, the lines, the curves, the detail, everything about these trucks, they just look so good. And you can do so many things to them in regards to modifying and making them the truck that you want them to be. And to me, having that freedom and that ability to make a truck that already looks so great better and to your preference and style, like, geez, I mean, does it get much better than that? All right, so let's head on the inside now in regards to style and design, and go over some of the things I do really like about the interior of this truck. So I love buttons. I just love them. And I really like that when you come into this truck, you have a very simple AC system, a very simple display. It's all straightforward. A lot of these newer vehicles, to access the AC controls, you have to go in through the touchscreen. You know, the shifter's no longer here. You have like a button on the dash. You know, even the way the truck runs, like I you know, it drives me crazy. Maybe you might disagree. I hate when I'm like at a stoplight in a vehicle that has the automatic shut off and it just shuts off on you. And it's because, for me, in my opinion, I've driven stick almost my whole life. When your vehicle stalls, or that feeling of it stalling at the stoplight, it like puts me into panic mode, and I'm trying to like restart the car. So I just can't get used to that feeling of the car shutting off by itself when it's at a stoplight. It just doesn't work for me. But I love the handbrake, all the buttons, guys. Everything about this truck is just, it's kind of just bare bones in regards to the way it was designed and the way everything works. And when you buy a truck, I mean, at least for me, I'm not looking to buy a Cadillac. I'm not looking to buy this luxurious sedan or this luxurious SUV. Now, yes, I want my truck to be comfortable, and I don't want to sit in it and feel like I'm sitting on a pile of bricks, and, you know, my backrest is like a you know, plank of wood. But guys, I bought a truck because I wanted a truck. And I feel like the more and more complicated we make the interior, you know, it may sound cool, it may even kind of look cool, but how's that going to work for us 10, 15 years from now if we plan to hold these trucks long term? So for me, guys, I feel like Toyota, when they did this, a lot of people complain, saying that the interior of this truck is very dated and it's very old. But I feel like that's what most of the owners and people that are in the market for a mid-sized truck are looking for. They're looking for this type of setup. And I think this is going to be the last generation we see a lot of these so-called bare bones, old school type of controls that I honestly like and enjoy and use a lot, and actually prefer compared to some of the newer stuff that's coming out on these other vehicles. So with that, guys, my next point, mod capabilities. You can do anything you practically want to do with your Tacoma. I mean, just shy of turning into a spaceship, and you could probably find a kit to make it into a spaceship, quite honestly. This truck can do anything and become anything you want it to be. You want to put on bigger tires, you want to chop fenders, you want to change suspension, you know, easy. You want to make it an overlanding rig, and you want to put, you know, rails in the back and pop-up tent. Do it. Skid plates, rock sliders, headlights, taillights, grills. Guys, you name it, you have endless options. And the ability to turn this truck into whatever you want it to do and be is limitless. I'm not going to say for 100% certain, but I would bet a pretty significant amount that the Toyota Tacoma is the #1 most simplest and easiest truck to modify. And on top of that, probably is the most accessorized and modified availabilities wise truck that you can buy things for. Like, modifications are endless, accessories are endless. Like, this, in my opinion, guys, is the easiest truck to modify just because of all of the products that are made for this truck. Hands down. So if you guys are looking to get a truck and make it into your own, this is the one for you guys. It's fun to work on, and the options you have there's just so many of them. There's just so many of them. So if you guys are looking to do something very unique, then I highly doubt you're going to have a problem finding something you can do to this truck to turn it into what you want it to be. So, for you guys that are manual drivers that prefer the manual transmission, I believe the Toyota Tacoma, guys, is the last mid-size truck that's still making a manual option. Even in 2023, you can still buy a manual transmission for the Toyota Tacoma. Now, make note of this. This is important. The manual transmission, from what I've heard, is not the greatest, but it works. Some people love it, some people hate it. So I don't have a manual transmission, so take it with a grain of salt, but just realize, test drive it, get a feel for it. Maybe take it for a couple test drives before you pull the trigger if you're used to driving a manual, because I've heard that it drives a little bit different than a standard manual in regards to the clutch and the way it depresses and retracts and everything else in between. So make note of that. Also, if you want a double cab lawn bed like I did and I purchased, you cannot get a double cab lawn bed configuration with a manual. So it would have to be in a short bed, guys. So make note of that. But if you're wanting a mid-sized truck still in a manual, the Tacoma still provides that. It's pretty cool. Next one, guys, is these plastic protection pieces. Now, for a lot of you guys, this might seem very minor, and I'm not saying you should purchase the truck just based off of this, but Toyota does a lot of cool things. Like, for example, like right here, they have these nice little underguards that come stock on the Tacomas. And to me, it's these little attention to details that make a big difference. I typically don't see these type of guards on the bottom of trucks, and I don't believe the Colorado, the Frontier, the Canyon have these. Maybe they do now, so if they do, correct me and let the viewer know. But it's stuff like this, guys, that just really separates the Tacoma, I feel like, compared to a lot of others. I also love the camera package that came with this truck, guys. It's got the camera in the grill. It's got a camera under both passenger and driver's side mirrors, and then obviously has a backup camera. And I don't believe any of the other competitors currently have the same setup. Maybe they do now, but if you guys are looking for a decent camera setup, guys, the Tacoma provides that. Now, the screen resolution you're seeing them on is not exactly the greatest, but they're there and they work and they serve their purpose. And guys, one of the last things I'm going to touch on in regards to this truck is that every problem, every issue that I did not like about it, everything that would cause me to speak negative about it, I was able to fix, and I was able to adjust, and I wasn't stuck with it, and it didn't cost me an arm and a leg to resolve the issue. And to me, guys, that's the most important thing, because in today's society, with the way regulations and politics are, so many things I feel like are kind of out of the manufacturer's hands in the ways the truck can operate and drive, and just the things that they have to do in order to be, in compliance with regulations. But the good thing about it is that, like I said, everything that I didn't like about the truck that really bothered me, I was able to fix. I mean, yes, there are certain things in regards to, Apple CarPlay, the charging station that, I'm not going to fix. And you probably could if you really wanted to do some really interesting engineering and panel changing. But it'd be a lot of work, guys, and it's not really worth it to me. It doesn't bother me that much. But these are just things I wanted to make mention of for you guys as you're looking into this. So So guys, 6 months in, I appreciate you guys following. I appreciate you guys subscribing. I hope these videos have been and are being helpful. If you haven't subscribed or hit that notification button, go for it. Would love for you guys to be following and to just enjoy this ride with me. And if you guys have any questions, any thoughts, your 2 cents, throw in the comments section. I'm always excited to see what you guys are thinking, what you guys are feeling, and what your guys' experiences are. It's all right, guys. We're going to wrap this up. But until next time, we'll be talking to you soon. See ya.